So welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily News in Shorts. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's current affairs in a short span of time, around 20 minutes. The reason for this lecture series is very simple. Current affairs form a very important portion of your civil services examination. And to take control of current affairs, you need to cover them on a daily basis. But you can't spend your entire day reading the newspaper, right? You have to cover other aspects of your syllabus as well. You need time for that, basically. So therefore, to facilitate you guys, we have come out with this lecture series in which we cover the day's current affairs in around 20 to 25 minutes. After watching this lecture, all you have to do is spend another 20 to 25 minutes revising this lecture. And you can revise this lecture from our PDF file that we are going to share on our Telegram channel. The link to our Telegram channel is provided in the comment section below. So you can click on that link, it will take you to our Telegram channel, and from there you can download the PDF for this lecture, right? So 20 to 25 minutes of watching this lecture, another 20 to 25 minutes of revising this lecture. And within 40 to 50 minutes, you'll be done for the day. You don't have to worry about current affairs at all, and you're free for the day to spend your time on other aspects of or other parts of UPSC syllabus. All right. So make this lecture series a part of your daily routine, a part of your daily habit. It's going to be really beneficial. All right. Okay. Let's jump into the discussion, starting with which topics we shall cover in today's lecture. Okay. These are the topics that are important from the perspective of civil services examination. Though today's newspaper covered a hell lot of more topics. There were other news items as well, but we have shortlisted these 4 items because they have a high probability of featuring in your civil services examination. All right. First of all, from today onwards, Climate Summit, UNFCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, Conference of Party number 29 is going to take place in Baku, Azerbaijan. It is going to start from 11th November and it is going to go on till 21st November, right? So this is the climate conference, annual climate conference that is going to take place. So we are going to talk about this. Then first ever wooden satellite is launched into the space. It is called LignoSat. We'll talk about this. Then Bangladesh's interim government right now, the government right now which is ruling Bangladesh, they have said that we want Sheikh Hasina because there are a lot of cases against her in Bangladesh. If Sheikh Hasina is not brought back to Bangladesh, then we would use Interpol. We will use Interpol and we will use Interpol's red notice to bring back Sheikh Hasina. So what is Interpol? What is red notice? We are going to talk about this. And the fourth topic is related to Codom Millet in Bandhavgarh. Do you guys remember a few lectures back we talked about death of many elephants in Bandhavgarh National Park, Bandhavgarh Tiger Reserve, right? And they died under suspicious circumstances. You guys remember? Now their toxicology report and their autopsy report has come out and it is found that they ate poisonous Codom millet and that is why these elephants died. So we are going to focus on Codom millet and how do they get poisonous. Okay, so fourth topic would be related to Codom millet. All right, so these are the 4 topics that we are going to zero in our attention on. Let's start with topic number 1, Climate Summit in Azerbaijan. Now look, this climate summit is going to go on from 11th to 21st and a lot of points would get discussed in this climate conference, annual climate conference. So we won't be discussing what is the agenda of this climate conference because it is going to come up on 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th of November. All right, as long as we are covering this conference, and as we go into the future, more details would come out from this conference. So we'll cover them when more details would come out. Today, I just included this news item to give you a background of Climate Summit or Annual Climate Conference. All right. So 2024 UNFCC Conference of Party 29, the Annual Climate Conference will begin on 11th November 2024 in Baku, Azerbaijan. Now, what is this event going to include? So this climate conference would include 3 major events. First of all, it is the 29th session of UNFCC. All right. It would be the 19th session of Kyoto Protocol, which was signed in 1997. And since Paris Agreement, it would be the 6th meeting to decide on Paris Climate Agreement of 2015. All right. So 3 conferences are going to go on. First, the major conference, COP29, then conference or meeting of parties under Kyoto Protocol and meeting of parties under Paris Agreement. All right. but the most important one is COP29. Now, what you need to know is what is basically UNFCC. All right. So UNFCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, it was signed in 1992 at the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development. Okay. Now this conference happened in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. Okay. And this conference was also called Earth Summit. So this Earth Summit happened in 1992 at Rio, Brazil, and the result was UNFCC. Okay. Now, the convention has near universal membership. 197 countries are party to this convention, and it is also, UNFCC is also the parent agreement to Paris Agreement. So Paris Agreement of 2015, which aims to curb climate change, right? Its parent organization or agreement is UNFCC. Now, it entered into force. UNFCC was signed, was open for signature in 1992, and it entered into force in 1994. Its current secretariat is in Bonn, Germany. Just remember this fact. All right. Now, a few more things. First of all, what is this Paris Agreement? So, Paris Agreement in 2015, different countries decided that we are going to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions to such an extent that the global warming doesn't increase by 2 degrees Celsius, or we would basically limit rise in global temperatures by 2 degrees Celsius and 1.5 degrees Celsius if we can. Okay. So for that we need money. For that different countries need to reduce their emissions. The larger aim is to reduce by to not allow temperatures to rise more than 1.5 degrees Celsius. But if they rise more than 1.5 degrees Celsius, then make sure they do not rise above 2 degrees Celsius. This was Paris Agreement. As far as Kyoto Protocol is concerned, Kyoto Protocol was about ozone layer, because many gases that were released, they basically actually put a hole in the ozone layer, right? So Kyoto Protocol was basically, it focused on 6 greenhouse gases, to reduce 6 greenhouse gases. Okay. Carbon dioxide, methane, sulfur hexafluoride, okay, nitrous oxide, chlorofluorocarbons, and perchlorofluorocarbons. Okay, so these were the 6 gases that need to be reduced. Their emissions need to be reduced as per Kyoto Protocol. Paris Agreement talks about reducing global temperatures or not allowing global temperatures to rise more than 1.5 degrees Celsius. And both Kyoto Protocol and Paris Agreement have one parent convention called UNFCC, which was signed in 1992 during the Earth Summit at Rio. Okay. Now, this point, this is very important. Presidency Troika. So you see, the 2023 presidency of UNFCC was with UAE. Okay, okay. 2024 presidency is with Azerbaijan. And the next year's presidency would be with Brazil. So COP28 happened in Dubai. COP29 is going to happen in Baku, Azerbaijan. And COP30 would happen in Brazil. So these 3 years presidencies collectively are known as Presidency Troika. So these 3 countries have collectively come out with a roadmap to mission 1.5 degrees Celsius to significantly enhance international cooperation and international enabling environment to stimulate ambition in the next round of nationally determined contributions. What are nationally determined contributions? Different countries would declare their contributions. Which type of contributions? Contributions towards reducing greenhouse gases. Again, the main purpose is to reduce the increase in temperature up to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Okay. So remember this term, Presidency Troika. Okay. 3 countries. All right. Now let's move on to our next news item, which is LignoSat, first wooden satellite. So what was in the news? The world's first wood-paneled satellite was launched into space on November 5th to test the reliability of timber, that is wood, as a renewable building material for future space travel. So basically, scientists want to see whether wood can be used as a panel or as a covering material for satellites. Can we use wood for manufacturing satellites? Because if wood is usable in satellites, then that would reduce the demand for different metals which are used in manufacturing of satellites, especially aluminium. Okay. So that is why we need to test wood. And this LignoSat is one such satellite that is going to test whether wood is sustainable in outer space. Okay. This tiny Japanese spacecraft, it is a very tiny satellite named LignoSat, was developed by Kyoto University and a company that builds homes called Sumitomo Forestry. Now, this was launched on November 5 and it reached International Space Station on November 5th by Sex Dragon cargo capsule. After a month, it will be released into the orbit above Earth where it will be studied whether using wood to make satellites is sustainable or not. Okay. Now let's talk more about this small satellite, LignoSat. So LignoSat measures just 4 inches, as you could see in the picture, on each side, and it weighs around 900 grams. That is not more than even a kilo. The satellite is named after the Latin word for wood. So wood is basically an English word, and its Latin translation is ligno. All right. So ligno is Latin for wood, with panels built from a type of magnolia tree using a traditional Japanese crafts technique. Okay, because Kyoto University made it, so that is why it would have used Japanese crafts technique. Okay. Researchers anticipate that wood may come to replace some metals used in space exploration in future. Now, why are we so interested in wood basically? What is so special about wood? Okay, so what is the significance? First of all, the satellite is launched to test timber or wood's durability, because environment in space is quite problematic. Extreme environment. Temperatures fluctuate between minus 100 to plus 100 degrees Celsius every 45 minutes. So you need a durable material for that. Plus, it is said that various chips or various electronic instruments are in a satellite. Now, these instruments, scientific electronic instruments, get damaged by space radiation. That is why aluminium is used to cover the satellite, because aluminium actually reflects back the space radiation. Now, using LignoSat, we want to study, can wood also reflect back space radiation so as to protect the internal electronic instruments? So satellite will also gauge timber's ability to reduce the impact of space radiation on semiconductors, the chips, the electronic equipment. All right. And third reason for launching LignoSat is to protect ozone layer. You see, the thing is that normal satellites use aluminium for covering. Now, after their life, this aluminium burns up and generates aluminium oxides. These aluminium oxides damage the ozone layer. Okay, but if we can use wood instead of aluminium, this wood would get burned up, but it won't generate such oxides that would damage ozone layer. Okay, so it would be environmentally sustainable. So these are the reasons why we are using wood for satellites. All right. Okay. Now let's move on to our third news item of the day, red notice for Sheikh Hasina. As you all know, a few months back, Sheikh Hasina was ousted, okay, and the new interim government was put in place in Bangladesh, and many court cases have been opened up against Sheikh Hasina and her party, the Awami League. Now, the current Bangladeshi government is asking for Sheikh Hasina's repatriation to Bangladesh because they want to prosecute her for various crimes committed under her regime. Okay, but Sheikh Hasina is currently in India, and it doesn't seem like that India would repatriate Sheikh Hasina to Bangladesh. Therefore, the interim government of Bangladesh is giving an indication that they might use Interpol to get Sheikh Hasina back. And they might use red notice issued under Interpol to get Sheikh Hasina back. All right. Now, what is Interpol first? Then we'll talk about different notices under Interpol. Okay. So Interpol is basically a short form for International Criminal Police Organization. So Interpol is short form for Interpolice. So it is basically a network. It is an organization that allows cooperation between different police of the world. Okay. Every country has their own police force. So all these police forces are collaborating or cooperating under Interpol. So it is an international organization that facilitates worldwide police cooperation and crime control. It is the world's largest international police organization. Its current headquarters are in France. There's a city in France called Lyon. All right. And this Interpol organization was formed in 1923 in Vienna, Austria. So remember this fact. Now, how does Interpol communicate? Basically, what I told you just now was that Interpol is basically a collection or basically a cooperative mechanism for different police organizations of different countries. Okay, Indian police, Pakistani police, Bangladeshi police, they can all cooperate under Interpol. All right. Now, how do different countries communicate with Interpol? So every country has one nodal agency. This nodal agency is responsible for communication with Interpol. So Interpol has to talk with this nodal agency, and it would be deemed that Interpol has talked to that country. Now, this nodal agency is called National Central Bureau. Every country has to designate one organization as National Central Bureau, which would be the point of communication between that country and Interpol. Okay, so it is basically the point of contact between Interpol and that country. Now, India's NCB is CBI. So, whenever Interpol has to contact with India, it contacts CBI. And when India wants to contact Interpol, it contacts through CBI, Central Bureau of Investigation. All right. Now, Interpol is basically a cooperative mechanism for different police forces. And if there is a criminal moving around in different parts of the world and he's wanted in India, then India can seek help of Interpol to catch that person. Okay. And for that, India can ask Interpol to issue red notice for that person. Now, what is red notice? So, red notice is generally considered. It is not considered, but it is generally people construe it to be an international arrest warrant, but that is not the case. This is a misnomer. Okay, it is not an international arrest warrant. It is basically Interpol's red notice is basically to a request to all the law enforcement agencies of the world, all the law enforcement agencies of those countries which are members of Interpol. Okay, it is basically a request to all these countries to locate this person against whom red notice is issued, and provisionally arrest that person until he could be sent back to the origin country. Okay, again, it's just a request. The country can choose to honor this red notice. The country can choose not to honor this notice. Okay, so let's suppose Bangladesh asks Interpol to issue red notice against Sheikh Hasina. Now, India can honor red notice. India can choose to ignore it. Okay, so it is basically just a request. The individuals will be wanted by requesting member country or international tribunal. On the basis of that only, you can issue a red notice. Countries apply their own laws in deciding whether to arrest a person or not. So India will apply its own law to see whether Sheikh Hasina could be arrested and given to Bangladesh or not. What sort of other notices can Interpol issue? Okay, Interpol can issue many other notices. Red notices for wanted persons. Green notices for intelligence. For example, you have learned that there might be a terrorist attack in France. Okay, so some countries have given this input to France. So Interpol will issue a green notice. Then there is a yellow notice for missing persons, orange notice for imminent threat, blue notice, purple notice, Interpol, UN Security Council special notice, black notice. All right. So these are the different notices against people by Interpol. Okay, but red notice is the most important. It is issued for terrorists and people absconding, wanted people basically. All right. Now let's move on to our fourth news item of the day, which is Codom Millet in Bandhavgarh. So a few days back, there was this news from Bandhavgarh Tiger Reserve, which is also Bandhavgarh National Park. This Bandhavgarh Tiger Reserve is in Madhya Pradesh. And it was found that more than 10 elephants have died suspiciously. Okay. Now their post-mortem was conducted and their autopsy report reveals that they must have eaten a particular plant called Codom millet. And this Kodo millet is generally very nutritious. But due to fungal infections, at times, these Kodo millets become poisonous. And maybe a fungal infectious outbreak must have occurred in Bandhavgarh Tiger Reserve, which would have infected almost all Kodo millet crops. But elephants didn't know about that. So elephants, in any case, ate those crops. All right. And were poisoned. So, according to the toxicology or post-mortem report of the 10 elephants that died at Bandhavgarh Tiger Reserve, they had consumed a large quantity of Kodo millet plants that were infected with a fungus. All right. Now, that's all you need to know as far as the news is concerned. But you need to have some extra information regarding Kodo millet because there are high chances that an MCQ might come from Kodo millet or Bandhavgarh Tiger Reserve in your next year's prelims exams. So, let's talk about Kodo millet then. Okay. So, what is this Kodo millet? So basically, Codom millet is a millet crop, okay? And it is a very, 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 very hardy crop. It can grow in poor soil conditions. It is drought tolerant. Okay, so you don't need that much water, you don't need that much rainfall, you can have poor soil quality. And it is said that Kodo millet originated in India, and it grows in central parts of India like Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, okay, Rajasthan, and Chhattisgarh, and all that. Right now, the thing is that Kodo millet is a staple crop for many tribal and economically weaker sections of India. Plus, Kodo millet is nutritious. It is rich in vitamins, minerals. It is gluten free. It is easy to digest and is a rich source of all antioxidants. It is drought tolerant, can grow in poor soil, in arid and semi arid conditions. Okay, so it is a very good crop. Basically, if it is not infected, it is a very, very good crop. It is nutritious. It is, you don't, farmers don't need to spend that much money to grow these crops. It can grow in poor soil as well. Okay, and it is also resistant to natural disasters like flooding or drought. So it is a very good crop and very nutritious. Plus, it is already consumed by many tribal communities. But if it gets infected, it becomes poisonous. Okay, so millets are prone to fungal infections, followed by bacterial and viral. Now, there is a particular type of fungus called ergot, which affects Codom millet. When ergot infection takes place in Kodo millet, it produces many toxins. Okay, one such toxin is cyclopysonic acid. This cyclopysonic acid affects your liver, your kidneys, it destroys your cell membranes, right? And maybe this is the reason why many elephants were dead. They must have consumed Kodo millet, which was infected by this ergot. This Kodo millet must have had cyclopysonic acid, which affected their liver, kidney, heart, and whatnot, and they died. Okay, so that's about it. That's all you need to know as far as Kodo millets are concerned, and that's all you need to know as far as today's newspaper is concerned. Okay, please do not forget to spend another 20 to 25 minutes revising this lecture. Why? Because after revision only you will be able to consolidate these current affairs. Remember these current affairs, place these current affairs permanently in your memory. Okay, so 20 to 25 minutes of watching this lecture, another 20 to 25 minutes of revising this lecture, and in about 50 minutes you'll be done for the day as far as current affairs are concerned. Okay, so follow this routine on a daily basis. All right, on that note, I'll sign off. Thank you so much, everyone, and I'll see you next time with next day's current affairs. Thank you.